Minn Kota Raptor shallow water anchors come with an optional technology called active anchoring. You'll know if the anchor you're working on is an active anchoring model or not by looking at the label on the top of the hydraulic pump. There you'll find the active anchoring icon. If that icon is not present, then this model does not include active anchoring. Today we'll be installing the Minn Kota Raptor hydraulic pump. Be sure to review the hydraulic pump mounting considerations as well as the tools and resources list provided in the Raptor Owner's Manual before you begin. This will help to ensure a smooth installation process. You'll want to begin by deciding where you're going to mount your hydraulic pump. So let's start by taking a closer look at the pump itself. There are a few things you're going to want to consider as you plan for where you mount the pump. For starters, where will your power supply come from? 12-volt hydraulic power leads are about 6 feet long. If you're going to need more length than this, refer to the battery and wiring section of the user manual for the proper gauge wire to use for the length that you need. Also, take note of where the hydraulic hose fittings are on the pump. You're going to need to make sure you have access to these when you connect the hoses. You'll also notice these two acorn nuts on the side of the manifold. These are your bypass valves. In the very unlikely event you needed to stow your Raptor manually, opening these valves will allow you to do so without having to disconnect any hoses. So if possible, you'll want to make sure you have access to these as well. On this side of the pump manifold, you'll see two threaded holes. This is where you're going to mount your pump, either to the pump mounting bracket or through a compartment wall if you so choose. We'll get into that in a little bit. And last but not least, this is the hydraulic oil fill cap. You'll need to be able to access this when we're ready to fill the reservoir. Something to be aware of is that you have the option of rotating the position of the reservoir tank 90 degrees in either direction to help maximize compartment space. Why only 90 degrees? Because if you rotate it 180 degrees, then you're going to interfere with the pump mounting holes on the back of the manifold. To rotate the oil reservoir, use a 5/16" socket to remove the 4 flange bolts holding the reservoir on the bottom of the manifold. Now, do not remove the reservoir, simply rotate it to the position you want. Then, reinstall the 4 flange bolts. Once you've determined where you want to install the pump, it's a good idea to do a dry run layout to see how they will sit in the compartment. We're going to mount our pump using the 2-piece aluminum mounting bracket included with your Raptor. It's worth noting that the main pump mounting bracket can be mounted in multiple orientations, both with and without the reinforcement bracket, depending on how you intend to mount your pump. Pre-assemble the bracket loosely with the 3/8" mounting hardware included for attaching the pump to the mounting surface. Then set the pump into position where you intend to mount it, checking for proper clearances and access to the pump. Mark the edges of the bracket where you intend to mount the pump, then remove the pump and bracket. Align the bracket with the marked edges and mark the holes to be drilled. Drill the pilot holes using an 1/8" drill bit, or use a 5/32 drill bit if you're drilling into fiberglass. Once the holes are drilled, put the bracket back into position and use 2 of the 1-inch number 18 screws and washers to fasten the mounting bracket to the mounting surface by using the 2 holes closest to the bend of the bracket first. Next, put the reinforcing bracket into position, making sure the U-shaped channels are aligned, aligning the holes and using 2 more of the 1-inch number 18 screws to complete the fastening of the bracket assembly to the mounting surface. Now thread the 2 3/8" hex head cap screws and Belleville washers a few turns into the threaded mounting holes of the pump manifold. The U-shaped channels on the mounting bracket will allow you to slide the pump assembly into position. Using a 9/16" wrench, tighten the pump mounting hardware to 12 foot-pounds. Next, we'll take a look at installing and mounting the hydraulic hoses. For more information and instructional videos, be sure to visit our website at minnkotamotors.com and find us on YouTube under Minn Kota Motors.